Good morning and welcome to the early edition of the Eyewitness Morning News on this Friday, February 10th. I'm Leigha McNeil. Thankfully, he is expected to survive, but the mental wounds he and other students will suffer at that school likely won't heal as quickly. Especially the people who were there watching as it happened, watching the replay. Yeah. Time and time again. It's very hard to watch.
It is a bit breezy out here, so if you do come out, be sure to bring a jacket. I'll let Peyton handle the weather because y'all don't want to hear it from me.
Right. We started off
yes,
right.
And we're in the same color. Look at that.
Look at that.
On the same brainwave at 4:30 in the morning.
I love it.
And y'all look good in the themed colors. Eric, what happened? And we're waking up this morning 17 days away from Election Day, and early voting begins this upcoming Tuesday. Right now, we want to take a closer look at an item that voters in New Orleans will decide.
An important voice weighed in Friday over the controversy about whether Mayor LaToya Cantrell has to pay nearly $30,000 in upgrades to first class and business class flights. Happening today, people in parts of New Orleans will see their trash picked up by a company other than Richard's Disposal. Today, we should hear from Saints coach Dennis Allen about the disappointing season, which came to an end yesterday against the Carolina Panthers.
You've got a good seat. You should stay there tonight and you'll be ready.
Scrunchy? You know, I just might stay here. I'm comfortable. As long as y'all save me a shoe, I'll be good. Okay. And we're turning.
The sheriff's office in St. Bernard is currently investigating a shooting that left a teenager dead. The shooting happened on Golden Drive near East Jean Street in Chalmette. Authorities say the teen was shot several times and was found laying in a courtyard between two apartment buildings. He was taken to the hospital where he later died. No suspect has been named. If you know anything, you are urged to call Crime Stoppers at 822-1111. Also in St. Bernard this morning, law enforcement is still looking for a toddler who they say was stolen out of the hospital last week. St. Bernard Parish deputies are looking for these two people you see right behind me. They say they're the ones who took the 2-year-old. Eleanor Tabone has more. Eleanor, thank you. Now, Jefferson Parish deputies are trying to figure out what happened inside a Harvey home where a family was found dead. Investigators say a man called 911 saying, "We can't live like this anymore," and you'll find 4 bodies when you get here. Notes found inside the home at Curtis and 11th Streets is leading investigators to believe it was a murder-suicide. Parents Tim, Joanna Ragas were found dead, along with their 20-year-old son, Eric Thornblum, and their special needs 13-year-old son, Timothy Ragas. Relatives say the family was having financial problems. Just heartbreaking. The Jefferson Parish Coroner's Office will perform the autopsies today. The sheriff says this will then determine if there was one shooter or two. And new this morning, a judge has disqualified a candidate from running for a spot on the Orleans Parish Civil Court bench. Stephanie Bridges will not be allowed to run after a judge ruled that she did not file her taxes in time to run for the open seat. Bridges' 2021 taxes were not filed and received by the IRS on January 25th, the date to file to qualify for the race. Now, with her disqualification, there are now just 2 candidates on the bench for March 25th. That's when that election will be. And a federal jury has found the former First NBC CEO guilty for his role in one of the largest bank failures in recent history. Ashton Ryan was convicted on more than 40 counts, including conspiracy, fraud, and filing false bank statements. The First NBC failure in 2017 left the bank with $1 billion in bad loans, costing individual shareholders millions of dollars in losses. And the first big parade weekend of Carnival season starts today. That means the streets are about to be packed full of people. City department heads have laid out their joint safety plan. There will be hundreds of extra officers and deputies on patrol. EMS is keeping ambulances handy, and the 911 call center is having employees work overtime. Safety is especially important since a lot of kids are actually marching in these parades, as we all know. We spoke to some school leaders about the start and their priorities for safety ahead of this big weekend. And the city has a website set up where you can see parade routes, lost child stations, find first aid tents, and public restrooms. And we finally have the numbers on who exactly is coming down to help. The largest security provider will be the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, giving 51 deputies, followed by the Department of Corrections with 40 officers, and the Louisiana Probation and Parole. They will be sending 30 personnel. And again, major parades will be happening all throughout the weekend, so be sure to stay alert yourself. Now, this weekend will be, again, the busiest weekend so far for carnival season as far as parades go. There are more than 24 scheduled crews that will roll through Sunday across the area. You can find a full list and track when and where those parades are rolling in real time with our WWL-TV Mardi Gras app. You can download that on your phone. And this morning, we are taking the Eyewitness Morning News on the road or just down the street and visiting Jam NOLA. We'll take a look at this fun, interactive site that has been a hit with locals and tourists alike. Plus, we'll have a preview of some of this weekend's parades, the crew of Mad Hatters in Metairie and the crew of Ferret in New Orleans. And we'll take you to the Mardi Gras Museum of Costumes and Culture and learn a little history about the Mardi Gras Indians. All that and more is coming up in our 6 o'clock hour right here on Channel 4. And we are just a few days away from Super Bowl 57, and many people are trying to decide what they're going to eat at the big game. We're trying to help you decide that this morning. Still to come, we'll take a look at some of the foods that are more expensive this year and the fan favorites that are actually just a little bit cheaper. Mardi Gras only rolls around once a year.
We've got Mardi Gras floats down here.
But for Carl Mack, it's an everyday, all-day celebration.
So they're themed, like here's aquatic, we have aquatic theme.
I'd get to dress up every day and teach about the culture here in New Orleans.
You see, Carl has been performing his whole life and collecting Mardi Gras costumes for the past 30 years.
I came down here to play music, and then I just stuck around.
He's now sharing with those who visit his Mardi Gras Museum of Costumes and Culture.
It's a multicultural, fascinating part of the history of New Orleans.
Showcasing every facet of the carnival season.
The Mardi Gras Indian culture sometimes had been very overlooked. Those people who never get an opportunity to see them on Fat Tuesday, because that's really is the tradition to come out on Fat Tuesday, St. Joseph's Day. If you miss those occasions, or Super Sunday, you need an opportunity to see a suit.
The Mardi Gras Indians have been around for over a century, masking and crafting with care.
By far, these are the most labor has gone into these suits probably than anything else in my collection. And they're also probably the heaviest items in the collection because the beadwork accumulates a lot of weight.
Carrying the weight literally as local culture bearers.
That's Brutus back there, big Watusi bull from Africa. He weighs about 40 pounds, just a head.
Ooh-wee. So that's just 40 pounds, just the skull on the back.
Yeah.
How much does all this weigh? Because I see a lot of beading on there. The feathers are light, but it's all the rest of the stuff.
Probably close to 200 pounds.
200 pounds.
Yeah.
This is Marvin Belisle.
When I put on the suit, there's no more Marvin.
But you can call him Wild Man Tatanka. He's the front man with the Wild Magnolias.
I turned into a totally different person.
Looking at the extravagant detail in his suit from last year, you wouldn't believe how long he's been sewing. So you learned how to sew over the last 5 years?
Yeah. Yep.
How's that been?
Many late nights.
It's an everyday, all-day commitment that he and other Mardi Gras Indians work on all year round. That's some next level dedication.
You just have the TV going and, you know.
The Netflix, you just be in your little world, huh?
Uh-huh.
With dozens of tribes from every corner of the city, each one has its own unique style. On Mardi Gras Day, they have a little friendly competition to see who's the prettiest.
I'm out there, I'm trying to be the best.
Bilal can tell you firsthand that this labor of love is not cheap.
I know it costs money, and yeah, sometimes some things do go by the wayside because of me in this suit.
But it's worth every penny.
I probably could buy a used car with that.
Every bead and every stitch.
When you nick yourself and you bleed, you wipe it on the patch.
Serves as a reminder that he's a part of something much bigger than himself.
That's what our suits represent, you know, paying homage to the Indians.
This is history.
To honor the Native Americans through masking, and the common denominator also being through the African history is masking and beadwork, which is also African, is very similar to what goes on with the beadwork and the dance of the Native Americans.
This is culture.
There's been some ups, there's been some downs, there's been some emotions, there's been excitement. I mean, it's been a learning experience.
This is New Orleans.
Let's go get 'em.
There's so many facets to the carnival that makes it transcends all aspects in every neighborhood. It is probably the biggest free show on earth, and we're blessed to have it here.